This is Hannah and Cailin, back again with Double Talk. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Cailin.
Murder, music, and a real $100,000 prize. We sat down with director and showrunner Gavin Michael Booth to hear the story behind Dreamcrusher, the killer first season of the immersive Reward Anthology series on Reveel, which follows pop star Gwyn's haunting final hours. Here's the catch: if you as the viewer solve the mystery, you can win the $100,000. Gavin dropped tips for viewers who really want to crack the case and snag their prize, and hinted that a big clue as to the series' next season might be hiding right behind him.
To start off, for people who may not have seen Dreamcrusher yet, tell us about just the premise of the story and also why the audience involvement in the show is interesting, because I've quite literally never seen or heard of anything like this before.
So Dreamcrusher is season 1 of a series called Reward, which is on the Reveel.net. Well, Reveel, which is Reveel.net. It's like Tubi streaming service. You don't have to pay a monthly fee. You sign up and get to watch all this content. But what Dreamcrusher is an interactive murder mystery. So it's 7 episodes. It's the story of a pop star who gets murdered, and you become the detective, in a sense that you have the ability from home while watching every episode to find clues, enter them through an investigator portal that when you sign up at reward.net, rewardseries.net, you become the investigator. And there's between every episode, we're also putting clues online, and there's a whole interactive element out there on the web and through social media that are all part of the storytelling. And at the end of all of that, one of the investigators will win $100,000 by correctly sort of solving the case.
People are so into, I mean, they have, what are the mystery boxes? The Hunted Killer boxes. Yeah. Obviously, true crime is huge. People love feeling involved, even if you're not being told to help solve a mystery. If you're watching a true crime or a mystery show, you're trying to solve the case in your head. So it's so cool that you're actually asking viewers to not only do this, but do this for a reward. How did the team behind Dreamcrushers even come up with this concept?
William Chevry, who owns the Reveel network, it was his core idea. He had just called me up. He had seen a project that I had done for Blumhouse, which was the world's first live movie that had an interactive element to it. And he just said, I have this basic idea. It's called Reward. Somebody will win money solving a television show that would be interactive. Do you want to develop that with me? So I was, yes, right away. I'm a huge true crime fan, huge murder mystery fan, and thought this is exactly the kind of stuff that I want to create. So it was just a matter of, I wrote 3 or 4 different iterations of what the story would be. The idea is that each season is going to be a contained story like American Horror Story. So it's Dreamcrusher this time. Next time it's, I can't say yet, but it's going to be awesome. And, so it's just the same as writing any other TV show, just coming up with really strong characters, a really interesting premise, but then figuring out how to build this whole other world around it. Because I have to make the show interesting for people who just want to watch the show and not do the interactive element. Although, why wouldn't you want to win $100,000? But I also have to make it that all of the material that you're watching or reading or listening to in that interactive element is adding to the story, but not in a way that if you're not following it, you're not lost when you watch the show. So that was the biggest challenge of figuring out how to just dissect and decide what goes in the show and what stays in this sort of world around the show.
Ah, that's so interesting. And tell us about the real world component, because obviously a lot of the clues, and it's interesting because on the show, it's like anything can be a clue. You really don't know until later. But tell us about how you incorporate what you call the real world elements into the show for the viewers. Like, how does the audience know where to look for clues?
We don't tell people, it's $100,000. You got to work for it. I think most people have been smart enough to start with social media, and you've got characters' names that you can search, you've got locations, you've got in the app that you sign up to the investigative portal, it does give you the hints of this. So there's 3 clues in every episode, 4 clues out in the world. And there's even physical clue hubs, like partners that have partnered where you can go to the location and get clues, which we hope to keep expanding season to season. Everyone with season 1 is a little bit experimental because it's just brand new, and just even trying to get people to believe in what we're doing is the hard part with season 1 until they see it. But I had my Instagram was hacked last week, and when I was telling people, some friends were just like, wait, is this part of the thing that you're doing? I don't know what's real and what's fake anymore. And but do you certain characters have email addresses that if you find them and email them, they're going to email you back and interact with you. And it really could become very, very immersive because it's about a singer. My one of my good friends, Blue, he writes music for the Demi Lovato's of the world, Selena Gomez, the Jonas Brothers. He wrote the music for the series that our actress Brittany Charlotte Smith sings. So the single is out there, and maybe there's a music video coming that ties into an episode that's about the making of her music video, and it just kind of keeps expanding. And every week there's going to be more and more and more content out there.
I love the pop star element because that was one of the episodes of Black Mirror that stands out to me the most. And then you add like, this is way more immersive than even Black Mirror. Like it's so cool. You're no stranger to experimental film, right? Like, you worked on the project with Blumhouse. Is it more difficult to kind of sell a concept of a project that's experimental, or is it maybe easier now than it was like a few years ago? But I still don't see a whole lot of like super experimental films.
It's such a strange conundrum of this industry because all people say is we just want the next original thing. We want the next Star Wars, the next super cool original, whatever it is, Black Mirror interactive, choose your own adventure, whatever it is. And then you pitch those things, they go like, I don't know, how would that work? Are people ready for that? So no, it's always an uphill battle. You know, my last feature film that came out is called Last Call, and it's two single takes shot at the same time in different parts of a city that are running split screen side by side. And, you know, all you see is everybody like, oh, wow, Adolescence, that episode of The Studio that's a oneer. It's a oneer. How do they do oneers? I'm like, we did this 5 years ago. And everybody was like, oh, you'll never be able to sell that. You'll never be able to get that made. You know, not that we're the first oneer out there ever, but no, anything you want to do that's different or unique is usually an uphill battle. That's one of the things I like the best about Reveel is they're a streaming platform, and this is their first piece of original narrative content. And instead of making something safe like a sitcom or just a regular murder mystery, they're like, no, we want to come out of the gate, and all we want to do is make weird interactive content that hopefully becomes the norm. They refer to it as viewer engaged content because too many people are on their phones, too many people are distracted even when they're at the movie theater. It's like, how do you make content that forces, in a good way, forces an audience to be glued to what they're watching?
Man, the day I'm distracted on my phone at the movie theaters, the day I've officially lost the plot.
Yeah.
Like in the movie theaters.
Literally, you will lose the plot.
Literally lose the movie theater is like the ultimate escape. But that's why that's so cool. Like, you could be sitting with your friends watching this. And even sometimes when we're watching things with like friends, we're talking amongst each other. But like now everybody's
if you want the $100,000,
if you want that money, you gotta be as engaged as possible.
And I imagine for something like this, and you've kind of touched on this, but it's hard to predict how engaged an audience will be ahead of time. Like, obviously the goal would be a super engaged audience looking for clues and stuff, but it's like you don't really know, right, until you get it out there. And then it's also a situation where like it may take time for people to catch on. Like, what has been the audience engagement so far? Is it like what you were expecting?
It's more than we expected in one regard, because we crashed the Reveel server night one when it premiered, which was very unexpected. So it's their most watched show instantly out of, you know, or most watched piece of content on the show. Because what's on there now is a lot of other people's films that have been licensed to be on the platform. But it just keeps growing, you know, and it's interesting because I would think if I wasn't part of this and I saw an ad on Facebook or somewhere said I can win $100,000 watching TV, like I would watch somebody like eating a bowl of soup for 7 episodes if it meant I could possibly win $100,000 at the end. So it's just trying to get into the media, and folks like yourself are a huge part of that recognize, oh, I think this is interesting. We should be championing new ideas instead of, you know, everybody should talk about everything that's out there, and we need media support for everything. But you do sort of see a cycle where the same 10 movies or the same TV shows or the same 10 albums are being talked about at any given time. And people it's just so hard to break through the noise of everything out there and algorithms to find an audience, but it'll keep going. And, you know, we release episodes every 2 weeks. So we do have a little bit more time to keep growing an audience, but we have seen between episode 1 to 2, okay, there's more people engaged, and I see it because I see the people that are clue hunting, and I can see where I've placed all the clues and the amount of people that are starting to interact with it and build message boards on Facebook and things to talk with each other as detectives. And I can also see that some of those people are full of they're BSing and they're trying to throw the other players off. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This is great.
Oh, they're doing it on purpose. They're trying to throw them on purpose.
Normally you would listen to, a true crime podcast or whatever, and you talk it at work or you text amongst your friends or you say like, oh, what do you think? Who did it? What's going on? This, I'm like, it's $100,000. Why would you tell anyone else any of the clues and where you found them?
Yeah. In case people watching might not know, how do people submit their guesses?
So if you go to rewardseries.net, that's where you sign up to be an investigator separate from watching the show on Reveel. And once you're signed up there, every week when the episode's done, you'll get the update that, hey, now the new clues are available. And you have all the way until after episode 6 airs to have entered your information. You just have to submit by the date before the finale premieres when we're going to reveal everything. So you get points for all of the clues that you've got out and found in the world and in the episodes, but you also have to correctly identify the killer, the motive, and all of those things too. So the combination of getting that material correct and being the score leader for being the best investigator and finding all the evidence that we've put out there, that's what wins you the $100,000.
What if more than one person solves it correctly?
Then it goes to a lottery.
Ooh.
I can't have 100 winners.
So what would you say to somebody who sees somebody like you working on something this cool, this out of the box, and they're like, I want to do something like that too, but obviously you have to be creative and like the challenge is then to come up with your own super out of the box thing, even if you're inspired by something specific.
And then you have to know where to pitch it.
Yeah, like what would you say to somebody who's like, I want to do something like that, only on my own level of creative that's actually entirely different in a way?
Like how would a filmmaker start?
Yeah,
really, with bringing that idea to life?
I think it's super important. I tell any filmmaker I meet that's starting out to just be wildly original, be bold. We live in a time where AI and entertainment is starting to creep in. And to me, most of that is going to be just this very homogenized, everything looks and feels the same. There's too many people going to film school and then learning off of Instagram and YouTube of like, this is how you light, this is the exact camera to use. And everybody's stuff just starts to look the same or feel the same. And what good is that? Like sometimes it takes a while to find your voice and what you want, what genre you want to work in, like what you want to tell, but you should be making wildly different things. You shouldn't let anyone tell you that you have to like water your script down to make it sellable or whatever the case is. No, notes are good, but I think just be bold and be different because that's how you're going to stand out as a filmmaker. All the filmmakers that we love, all the films that are amongst our favorites of all time, usually we're doing something incredibly different for the time.
Yeah, you gotta wonder like how many people come up with brilliant ideas and then they scuttle it for themselves. You made it happen.
I remember when I was like 8 or something and Cake Boss was announced, and I was like, wait a minute. They're doing an entire show about a guy at his bakery. Like, who would watch that?
The fact looking back now,
the fact that I thought that was weird
is
weird.
Yeah.
Because it's like, and they created this whole other world of reality TV.
Yeah.
It seems crazy until somebody does it, and then people build on that over the years and it becomes the norm.
Now, you as a filmmaker and as a creative, do you worry about AI? What is AI going to come up with that's this interesting and unique, and how are they going to execute it as well as a person like you?
I don't think human-made art will ever go away, but I think AI is going to take a huge portion of the work. I think anything that's, a lot of commercial work, a lot of sort of corporate video work, voiceovers for actors, narrating, dubbing movies. It's already starting to leak into a lot of that poster design, graphic design. It's going to have a huge impact because the technology is amazing, but it's like what Uncle Ben says in Spider-Man. He says, "With great power comes great responsibility." And I don't think the responsibility is going to be there when everyone from studios to businesses go like, we can save how much money and we don't have to pay anyone on a film crew to do this. So I don't think it'll ever go away, but that's where being original and bold again will come into play. Where don't make something that AI could make, and then you'll be safe and have a job. Same with actors. Be bold, be original. I honestly think if AI was writing Hallmark movies right now, I wouldn't really be able to tell the difference. Like, no shade on people who like Hallmark movies, but they're formulaic, and it's that kind of stuff that I think that's where the risk is for AI to kind of bleed in and take over. My wife has said to me on multiple projects that I've done where she said, you know what, instead of being first, the next time you have a great idea, why don't you sit on it for 5 years, let someone else do it first, and then there's always a way to monetize it after somebody's done it first. So your next brilliant film idea, just sit on it. And she also, but it generally takes longer. But for me, filmmaking is also the challenge of how the film is made, and I don't ever want to just repeat the same movie. Not to say that I don't love a great rom-com, or I wouldn't want to direct a straight through action movie. I definitely have ideas in both of those examples that I want to make. I like when I love a story so much, but it's going to be told in a unique way where like I'm going to have to work really hard because when we started this, it was like, how are we going to do this? We're in the middle of it. Episode 3 comes out on Tuesday, and I'm still like, oh, I want to do this kind of clue thing. How am I going to make that work? So it's just inventing on the fly, and that's sort of what makes me feel most alive as a filmmaker when there's I'm on a tightrope and there's no safety net. It's just like we're in this now, and we have to figure out how to make this work.
Oh, so you can still change and adjust the clues throughout.
It's not so much adjusting the clues and things, but I just now that I can see the audience interaction with it, and just like I don't have access to the back end of Reward. I've locked myself out of it because I don't want to know who's answering correct, who's not. But what I keep seeing is just what I see on social media, the emails that we receive of what people are enjoying about it, some things that are maybe incredibly frustrating to people. I just keep adding more extra material. And I just keep coming up with ideas like, because we're still editing the later episodes, and a character will say something. I'm like, oh, I bet you I could write an article and plant that somewhere, like in that character's voice. Or like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if this person had a voicemail that got leaked from the police and it was over here. So it's more about me just figuring out ways to keep adding and evolving the story.
I know you have to choose your words probably carefully with this, but what general advice would you give to someone who wants to win this thing?
I mean, think outside the box. Like just don't limit yourself to a couple places. And I would also say, just because you searched for something during episode 1 and didn't find it doesn't mean it won't exist or get released, after episode 3 or 6. So keep coming back and really rewatch the episodes too, and take a look at what's happening. But, there's just as much truth as there is misdirection out there. So, well.
As it would be if it were a real case.
Yeah.
Do you want to try? We should try. We should win, Cailin. Yeah, you want to try?
Not everyone's going to tell you the truth. Not everyone's going to give you the correct answer. That's part of being a great investigator, is figuring out how to trust your gut and what's leading you in the right path. And you're going to hit dead ends sometimes, right?
I seriously want to try to solve, because
I feel like I'm pretty good. I think we should try.
I'll say this on the wall behind me. It's subtle and would be hard to figure out, but something on this wall is a clue as to what season 2 will involve. So
no kidding.
Could be anything.